Well, hello there and welcome back. My name is Elena.
And I'm Fotios, and this is the Game Court.
And today we're going to do a review for Expeditions.
Expeditions is a 1 to 5 player game designed by Jamey Stegmaier, published by Stonemaier Games, and features amazing art by Jakub Rozalski.
And I'd like to mention that this review copy was kindly sent to us by Stonemaier Games.
And by the way, it's a big,
ginormous box.
hefty box, as you can see here. It doesn't even fit a normal position here.
Yeah, that's why we left it on the table. We couldn't put it up.
Exactly.
We couldn't put it up. In Expeditions, you venture to the dangerous north in this tile exploration sequel to Scythe. It's technically a continuation of Scythe.
Story-wise,
Yes.
at least, yes. So the war has ended, right? But we still have the mechs available to us. But now we have the so-called exploration mechs. And by the way, the game comes with 5
super minis.
quite hefty, quite tall minis. And if you go for the Iron Clay edition, these are also metal. Metal minis actually with a good, quite good. Jamey didn't send us the Iron Clay edition, but anyway.
But we like the minis.
Yes, we like the minis anyway.
The figurines are very nice.
Exactly. It's the same world, the same art as Scythe. But in this game, you don't really do any fighting. You just try to explore Siberia, the north of Siberia, to remove the ancient corruption and also achieve your objectives.
That's very well put. During your turn, you have a choice of 2 actions out of 3, which are move, gather, and play.
Move means move with your mech around the mech to do some exploration as well. Play means play a card from your available cards to your active row and activate the card and do the abilities. And gather means do the action of the hex tile that your mech is.
There is a very cool element in this game that at the very beginning of the game, or after you refresh your actions, you will be able to perform all 3 actions at the same time. Then you will slide your cubes onto one of the actions, and you will only have 2 actions available at that point.
So whichever you cover, you cannot perform it, basically, yeah.
And then on your next turn, the cube moves either left or right, whichever position you're in, and that will close one of the other actions. And you can carry on with this kind of mechanic until you won't be able to perform one of the actions.
So you need to refresh again. This game features an array of different game mechanics, and one of the game mechanics I would like to mention now is a form of deck building.
Quite different,
Yeah,
isn't
quite
it,
different.
than normal?
You start with 2 cards, which is your character card, which allows you to solve quests, and you have your animal companion, which allows you to vanquish, basically remove this ancient corruption. But as the game progresses, you're going to obtain more of these cards. But you don't have the usual deck building where you shuffle your cards and so on and so forth. You have all the cards in your hand open in one side of your board, and as you play them, you put them in the other side of the board and become the active row or the play cards.
There are 3 types of cards in this game, and one is a quest that you've already mentioned. The other one is an item, and you have the meteorites, and all of them give you different benefits. You can tuck them under your board by performing the particular action onto the hexes. And as they accumulate, the benefits accumulate too.
And taking these cards, taking your solve quests or your meteorites or your items which become upgrades in your mech, as you tack them and as you have 4 of them, these are some of the objectives, some of the things that you're trying to do in the game to place your glory tokens out in the base camp.
Technically, the game finishes when one of the players achieves 4 of these objectives. They are represented by stars that you will have to place onto
the glory tokens.
Onto these glory tokens onto the objective tracks. They're like there's not a track. What you call it?
Yeah, a table.
Like a table,
Yeah.
more like a table. And as soon as you achieve an objective, you will have to find a hex that has a special action.
The boast. Actually,
yeah, it's not very easy to place them, so you will have to put yourself in a position to actually do this and place your glory tokens onto the board. Also, by solving quests, you will increase your chances of getting more points at the end. I think the more quests you have, the more points you will get at the end.
For each of these glory tokens you have out, yeah. And this kind of objectives for which you can place your glory tokens is having solved 4 quests, or having done 4 upgrades using items, or for instance have collected 7 corruption tokens, or the very powerful corruption token. I had yes. or for instance having a number of workers, I think it's 7 workers, or having 5 map tokens. There are different things that you can explore, and in fact in our games with Elena we went for completely different routes of gameplay. So Elena was doing, let's say, the map tokens, I was doing the workers, for instance, right? However, doesn't mean that if I go for the workers, Elena cannot go for the workers as well. So there's no blockage whatsoever there.
Yeah,
so
everybody
can go for the same objective.
Anybody can take any place really. Apart from the 20 tile corruption.
Yes,
that's
correct.
only
One. Yes.
And that's it.
Talking about corruption, how this works is when we do some exploration, because there are different hex tiles, and some of them we start the game, they're face up already. They're the south, they're the central, and the north tiles. Central and north are face down, and they need to be explored. So you need to place your mech there. We flip the tile, and when we flip the tile, we have to place a certain number of corruption tokens from the back, which can be corruption tokens that can be overcome by power, or corruption tokens that can be overcome by guile, let's say intelligence, if you wish.
Corruption is always placed when you reveal a tile, when you explore a tile, you will place corruption from a bag that you will draw. It has a particular number, so let's say it's a 5. You'll have to draw from the bag until you get to at least 5 or above it, and then you'll have to stack them on. The way you remove all this corruption is by using your trusty animal, which will vanquish your corruption. But you will have to play your card, your animal, and you will have to have enough resources to actually do the vanquish. You can vanquish 1 corruption token if you want to, or if you're very well equipped, you can vanquish them all. And most of the times I think both animals were the same. If you vanquish all the corruption tiles and you get to the action underneath it, then your animal will allow you to do that action too, which I think is quite juice.
You can solve quests and vanquish using other cards, but doing so by your character and your dog, your animal companion, whatever, wolf, whatever it is, yes. I think it gives you the most benefits when it comes to that. But also, if you use your animal to not vanquish, but as a standard action, then you have a bit of asymmetry in the game, because my animal does something different than your animal.
Correct.
The cards in the game that Elena mentioned earlier, there are 3 types. The quests, the meteorites, and the items, and most of them are kind of multi-use in the sense that you tag them in different ways. For example, the quest on the top right has some elements where the quest needs to take place and what requirements the quest has to gain the benefits. Whereas the meteorite, you have to rotate the card and there is a particular benefit for the meteorites. So there is this aspect of multi-use cards, and also each card has, let's say, the core value, which gives you a power or a guile, but also has an ability, and the ability can be activated only if you have the respective colored worker.
Whilst you play the card.
Yes, correct.
When you play the card, you can place the worker on.
Expeditions also feature money, and the money that this game has is exactly the same as the money in the big Scythe. So if you have the metal coins from the Scythe, you can actually use them here as well, yes. But in this game, you don't really spend money, you just collect money, and it's like victory points at the end of the game. So money equals to points in this game.
A very easy thing to talk about is obviously the theme and the quality of this game, because it features the events straight after Scythe. I think it's very easy to follow, and I think it does have a story behind it to some extent. The quality is incredibly
very good.
I think the box is a little big.
The box is a Lacerda type box.
Yeah.
I think I would agree with you that when it comes to the box, it is quite big for the game. It is. You would expect a much more heavier game in this box than it. And Expeditions, it's lighter than Scythe.
Yeah. It's I think on the BGG side it says that it's about a 3, which is I think it's considered a medium weight, which is not necessarily bad. I think it's a good game exactly for what it is. We
really enjoyed it, yes.
It's a very good game. We really like it. The art is very pretty. It's exactly the same as in Scythe. It has the same, the same idea behind it. It's the same theme, the same colors, which is very good. Continuation wise, it works very well.
Supposedly it's 1 to 5 player game. We have played it at 2 and 3. I don't think I would like to play it more than that, because there is some downtime in the game, especially when you take the 3 actions after a refresh. And there is also some combinations happening there that you allow you to take more actions. So there is some downtime, so I wouldn't really like to try it with 4 or 5, but I think with 2 or 3 it's a very, very good game. Lengthwise, I think it's very reasonable. like in two player. The first game of expeditions with it took us about an hour and a half, which is very
Which is
reasonable.
very
Exactly.
reasonable, yeah.
I think you can achieve a 60-minute game for 2 players easily.
I think that sounds very reasonable. My first EA.
Oh, go to
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Go for it.
I ask all the time, so I said I'm just gonna start. It's fine.
Go for it.
I like the way this deck building kind of situation
implemented, yes.
is implemented. It's different than what we would play so far, and I think it works very nicely. You can take as many actions as you want as long as you have cards to play, and as long as you take the action you can, because move and gather, you can always move and gather anywhere, and I think it's down to how many cards you can actually play. And if you don't have cards, you will stop playing, you have to refresh. So I really like this element. Also, that you tuck your cards, so the more cards you have, the better you can play. But also you have to think of how many do you actually want to tuck as a benefit compared to how many cards you can have as a continuous play.
I think you have a very good point here, and in fact, I sensed when I was teaching the game to you and I mentioned it's deck building, you were like, oh my god, another deck building. Correct or not?
Maybe.
Yeah, because we like this mechanic, but there are games that we really enjoy, and there are games that, meh. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, Greybush and Trail, I think, it implements it very well. Also, something simple like Star Realms implements it very well, but this is more traditional deck building. What we say is very correct. In this game, deck building is done differently. Very refreshing aspect of deck building. You have your cards there. You don't shuffle or anything. Just play and they become unavailable. And the played cards, you can even use them to upgrade your mech or do the solo quests and meteorites, which is pretty cool. My first yay would be about the asymmetry that this game offers when it comes to the mech abilities, because each mech comes with a different ability, but also the asymmetry in the pairs of characters and animal companion, and having 5 animals and characters and 5 mechs, you can do many different combinations. And there are small abilities, but they're quite powerful. They make the game different. But also when it comes to replayability in the game generally, I think the game is very strong. How the tiles are arranged, and I can see how even the cards, which cards come out, because the deck is quite it's quite deep. The deck of cards is quite deep, and I can see easily having expansions of this game with more hex tiles, or more cards,
opportunities,
or more characters, and this is for me a yay.
My yay now that I want to discuss about, and I don't think we've touched upon, this game has hexes as map locations, and I like this very positive interaction in between the player, your mech, and exploring the map itself. Most of the times when you explore map, you actually have to pay a lot of stuff, or
fight the monster.
You have to fight something that's on the other side. Whereas here, you'll just explore wherever you want to explore, which I think is very fresh, and you will get the benefits on the other side because you get to do the action on the other side, which I think is quite cool. Mainly, you'll do exploration either for the tokens, the map tokens on top, or you'll do exploration because you need to find a tile that fits with your quest that you want to actually achieve.
In fact, in all the games, Elena had the mech that has the ability with spending the map tokens to get power, guile, or money, and also did in the game was exploration. You basically flipped on the tiles.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
It worked. It was very nice.
One yay for me is how, as the game progresses, how your engine is built and increasing, and you have more stuff happening, you have more workers to activate your cards, you have better cards, you have tagged meteorites, which basically, once you tag another one, activate all your meteorites. So how you build your engine, for me, is a nice part of the game. I really enjoyed it, and I think it does it very well in a short period of time. How about nays?
I don't think this game has very many nays, but as a little nitty-gritty, I would say the size of the box is a bit big, and I appreciate the game is quite luxurious and it has a lot of good components inside, and it's very pretty, and it's very enjoyable to play. But because we don't really have very much space around, I feel that this game's box is a bit big, but nonetheless the game is very nice.
Yeah, the miniatures are big, the hex tiles of the locations are massive, I would say. So some elements of the game, they could be smaller without sacrificing anything from the gameplay. So I agree with you in this sense that it could be a standard square box game, not a Lacerda type of game. Again, I think when it comes to heavy games with more components and all of this stuff, you would expect that to be a bigger box. But this is not such a heavy game. It's
it's a
medium weight.
It's
Exactly.
a medium weight, and it offers you plenty of play. It's just that I would expect for such a big box to have a lot of components.
An A from my side, and I think I touched on this before. I don't think I would play this game with more than 3 players. I think it would be a bit too long for your turn to come back. A little bit of downtime over there. I appreciate that nowadays we have to accommodate several different player counts, but I think this game is optimal at 2 to 3 players, and I think we can be honest about that. This is what the game is.
Some people might like the downtime and, they like doing a million things around it, which is fine.
Playing with the phones.
But we are mainly like, we'll
just
play the game
exactly.
and that's all we do.
Exactly. Overall, though, I really enjoyed Expeditions.
It's a very nice game.
Yeah.
It's a really, truly very nice game.
It implements some mechanics, some, well-known mechanics, but gives a different twist. It has this Scythe feeling to it with all the worlds and everything. Very nice production, nice mechs. I really enjoyed it.
Other game recommendations, I would think of Revive. Revive is a very nice game where you're trying to revive the world. So you crawl from wherever you were hidden and you go up. So you start exploring from underneath the world up, above, onto the world. And you have these little hex tiles as well that you have to flip and you have to explore onto them. So it's kind of the same idea of you moving around. You're not in a mech, but you are a person and you explore hexes. So I think not all the game is very similar, but it does have similar aspects.
I think it's a fair choice. Revive, yes, especially how you flip, you explore it, you flip, and you yeah. And I think it's a fair choice. I would obviously go with Scythe. I think. I mean,
that's that's the obvious choice, isn't it?
Yeah. Like if you like Expeditions, you most likely like Scythe. Even if Scythe it's a heavy game, it has more elements, has also a conflict element. But there are some similarities with Scythe here. So if you like Expeditions, most likely you are going to like Scythe. And I think maybe even if you haven't played Scythe, maybe you can start with this first. And if you like the world and everything, then you can go to Scythe.
I think if you think of it, I think this is like a non-aggressive, lighter version of Scythe.
Yeah, it's a bit of solitaire. Yeah, it is a bit of solitaire. Yes, correct. So that was our review video for Expeditions.
I hope you enjoyed it.
And thank you so much for watching.
See you later.
Bye.